August 8th, 2002. The main event of SmackDown is a much-hyped singles match between the immortal Hulk Hogan and the next big thing, Brock Lesnar. Hogan has had a magical year since returning to the company with the NWO in February of 2002, and then turning babyface after WrestleMania 18 a month later. Hogan was a certified legend of the game, as made of a man as there was in all of wrestling history at this point. And he was facing a man in Brock Lesnar who has completely dominated anyone and everyone in his path since debuting at the Raw after Hogan's iconic Mania performance against The Rock. Man, I was fucking excited for this one. Hogan was so over with the crowd, and Brock seemed like he couldn't be beaten. He was like this young dominator. Not only that, Brock was the #1 contender for The Rock's Undisputed Championship. And the Undisputed title in 2002 was very important. And that was put on the line in this match with Hulk Hogan. This shit had big fight feel written all over it. Hogan had made a career of vanquishing monsters like Brock in the 80s as the face of the WWF's golden era. But Lesnar was a different kind of monster. There's a sequence in the match where Hogan hits his patented leg drop, but Brock kicks out so emphatically that he pops the 260-pound Hulkster right to his feet. It was the little things with young Brock that made him so different than anybody else in the company at this point. And honestly, ever. Hogan goes for another leg drop, but thanks to a Paul Heyman distraction, Lesnar's able to recover and drops Hogan with the F5. It's once Hulk takes Brock's iconic finish here that things begin to get very interesting. Brock doesn't go for the cover, despite Paulie imploring him to do so. Instead, he walks around Hogan on the ground like a gladiator who just took down a fucking lion. Then he picks this legend up and goes for, of all things, a bear hug. 9-year-old me, very fucking confused at this point. You do not beat people with a bear hug. That's all I was thinking at this point. All I'd seen was Attitude Era Wrestling, and the last thing you saw during that era was anybody standing still in the ring and hugging their opponent. But Brock Lesnar, with a finish about as old school as it gets, would have Hulk Hogan pass out and bleed from the mouth due to the bear hug. Nobody did this to Hulk Hogan. I was shook, and so was the entire crowd. Once they got over the scene in the ring, the heat Brock had from the audience was now nuclear. Just 21 days later, the 25-year-old beast would go on to beat The Rock and become the youngest WWE champion ever. Lesnar would maintain that level of heat until he left the company after WrestleMania 20 in 2004. But he needed these moments with these certified legends to make him a drawable star. It is a crucial part of wrestling that has kept this business going for well over 50 years now. When Brock returned to the WWE in 2012, he needed this all over again. They needed to turn this now legit UFC heavyweight champion into a legend that, if he was beaten, could turn anyone, any other wrestler, into another megastar. I always hear fans and those who work around the business say shit like, oh, Brock didn't need it. He didn't need to beat the streak because he's already such a big star, whatever. Play the clip.
Didn't feel like Brock needed it, and people, all the internet geniuses,
right.
Well, he had lost this and he didn't do this and he didn't do that. He needed a win.
I was shocked. I didn't like it. Be that as it may, it happened.
I thought it should be the feel-good moment every year at WrestleMania. Who's going to take it down, but nobody ever does? It doesn't get the guy that beat the streak over. There's some things that the people don't want to see.
And I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why would we do that? That makes zero sense to me. Let's save that. Let's save that for somebody who can really use that boost. And to me, as the years started to go and go and go, I was like, Reigns is that guy.
Do you think ruining a streak eventually was a poor decision?
Yes.
By the org?
Yes.
I people go back and forth on
yes,
this.
I do. And the only reason I say that is because I don't think Brock needed it.
Then when you consider looking down the line, when you look at the talent roster, who else possibly could Undertaker work with? And at that time, give back in the biggest possible way he could to help someone be a star. You know, who was it going to be? There was no one on the roster, potentially. And the following year, or the year after that, the one person whose time was there at that moment had to be Brock. You have to make difficult decisions sometimes. And I think I made the right call at the right time. Coming into this year's WrestleMania, I don't think Brock Lesnar could be any hotter. So to me, it was the right call.
Personally, I think it's obvious. The Beast was absolutely the right guy to break the streak. He 100% needed it. And Vince made the right call because this is going to have lasting effects even now that Brock's career is seemingly over. But in order to truly understand the magnitude of what Brock Lesnar did and why he is and will forever be the right choice to break the streak, we have to go back to, for me, the day the music died. April 6th, 2014. WrestleMania 30. So for starters, I think it's really important that up front, I just let you know, The Undertaker is my GOAT. The first match I ever saw, which I'll save for a video down the line, the Dead Man was heavily involved in. And from that point on, he was my guy. More than Austin, more than Rock. I mean, how many people you know have this stupid thing laying around their house that they could just pull out whenever they want? So for me, growing up, 3 things were certain. Number 1, I was definitely getting older as a human being. Number 2, at some point, I was probably going to need a job in order to make money. And number 3, The Undertaker was beating your favorite wrestler's ass at WrestleMania. He beat everyone. HBK, Kane, Mark Henry, the legendary Giant Gonzalez, and every single fucking member of Evolution, including Triple H 3 separate times. The build-up for this match was pretty average, honestly. Brock had an open contract for a singles match at Mania. Taker appears after not being around since last WrestleMania, stabs that motherfucker Brock with a pen, and signs his name to fight the Beast at the 30th edition of the Showcase of the Immortals. Genuinely, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, thought Brock Lesnar was going to win this match against the Man of Death. I think he was something like 10-1 odds, which, think about that. 10-1 odds in a contest that's not real. So we get to Mania, and the Beast looks to be in amazing shape. Undertaker gets one of his classic WrestleMania entrances, but the match itself, unfortunately, does not live up to the absolute classics Taker had been having since WrestleMania 23 with Batista. The biggest reason for this is a shoot concussion the Dead Man really did receive in this match. There were definitely a few hard-hitting shots and falls this may have happened on, but neither Taker, nor me, nor anybody really knows, and there's honestly no exact moment when you thought, damn, Taker really got fucked up on this one. The Dead Man was going for old school, and knowing what we know now, you can see Taker isn't walking the ropes with the same level of balance and coordination he usually did this signature move with. So Brock catches him off the ropes almost desperately to save the man from falling, and hits Taker with the second F5 of the match. When Brock hits that third F5 after countering the Dead Man's tombstone,
and again, going for a triple! A third F5 to the Undertaker! Into the cover, hooks the leg, the streak is over!
the crowd is silent. Cue my man with the glasses. Like, I'll never forget his face. Neither will anybody else that watched that event. He speaks for everyone. Everyone in that moment. It was to the point that people thought that the ref fucked up the count. I remember being in college in a big auditorium, and when that shit happened, I stood up, had my hands on my head. I was basically like everybody in the Superdome that night. I had to leave the auditorium and take a walk, man. People who didn't watch wrestling that were hanging out with me were just like, what is wrong with this guy? I called friends. I called anybody that would understand. Like, they finally did it. Vince finally pulled the trigger. I was crushed. But once I came back into the room, I turned to my friends and I said, they better make Brock a fucking god now, because this shit cannot go to waste. To me, Brock was not really as over at that point in comparison to where he was when he was younger as the next big thing. The truth is, There really was no obvious choice in 2014 to break it, and so it was guaranteed to be a major spot of heat for any wrestler who got that under their belt. This completely reignited Brock Lesnar though. He really was the one.
1 in 21 and 1.
But what happened next would completely separate him from everyone else in WWE. August 17th, 2014, Summerslam. By the mid-2010s, John Cena was not just a top guy in wrestling. He was the guy of his era. The defining WWE superstar of his generation. The face of the company for nearly a decade. Batista came and went. Edge had been forced to retire. CM Punk infamously left this year, but Super Cena was still standing tall and still carrying the business on his back. In fact, just weeks before SummerSlam, Cena had won the vacant WWE Heavyweight Championship at Money in the Bank in a ladder match to reclaim the top prize in the company for the 15th time. And yet, as accomplished as Cena was by 2014, this had to be the most polarizing version of the champ we had ever seen. Fans older than 12 were simply tired of the act. To kids and families, Cena was still Superman, but for everybody else, he was the most forced babyface in wrestling. So when Brock set his sights on him at SummerSlam, many thought this would be the reigniting of a classic rivalry between two of the four guys from the legendary 2002 OVW class. However, once Brock Lesnar broke the Undertaker streak, there was no going backwards. And to Cena, that meant the Beast had to look like the Beast.
Arn Anderson, I remember, it's just not your night, kid. Yet the story is for this. Brock is one of the most giving performers when it's his time, and he will make anyone look great. But I remember Brock being like, hey, I had dinner with Steve Austin last night, and we came up with this idea where I just start suplexing you and don't stop, and then beat you.
And that's exactly what this was. Not a traditional title match. Not a competitive showdown between two equals. This was a fucking execution.
We both collectively agreed that you just beat the streak. We ruin that if we have a 50-50 match. It's not my night, kid. Arn Anderson in the back of my head. It's not my night. How do you showcase the enormity of that win? How do we not waste the Undertaker's streak? It's not just Brock winning a match. It's all those matches that he had to lead up to losing. If I go out and have a 50-50 match and he just sneaks over, we wasted all that. But if you take that unbelievable feat with another unbelievable feat, now we have passed the energy. And that is how you make someone. And then that someone can make others.
Brock hit Cena with an F5 within the first 2 minutes of the match. And from that point forward, the tone was set. Then, it's Suplex City, bitch.
Cena's out of it already. Whoa! It's their German suplex. And another German suplex. Oh no. And another German suplex. Yeah. Come on. Another German suplex.
By the end of the match, Cena had taken 16 German suplexes. And I know that number gets repeated all the time, but when you sit there and watch this happen, it felt violent, ugly. It almost felt like it wasn't supposed to happen. Like Brock just went off script and went into business for himself. The Beast physically tore Cena apart in front of the entire world. But that's what made this so special. Because nobody had ever beaten Cena like this. Nobody had ever taken the face of WWE and made him look so unbelievably normal. Sound familiar? In modern wrestling, when there's two guys of this stature, these two top upper echelon guys, we don't get matches like this. It usually looks like CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Very back and forth, very much what we saw at Wrestlemania. But this absolutely wasn't that. When Brock is standing there at the end of the match, holding all the gold, there really is a feeling of, wow, who the fuck is gonna beat this guy? With these two shocking matches, back to back at WrestleMania 30 and SummerSlam 2014, Brock Lesnar once again became the biggest and most insurmountable monster in WWE. And once Brock became that version of himself, WWE wasted absolutely no time showing us what this looked like.
They're looking to open up Orton with those elbows. This is just pure malice. Brock Lesnar quickly with Kofi takes it. And an F5! An F5 by Lesnar! Here's the cover! We got a new champion! And that clubbing wow. Good to the jaw. And Brock got him back.
Now, every top babyface and every potential WrestleMania main event level player were judged by one question. Is this the guy who will beat Brock Lesnar? The Beast was a living, breathing measuring stick for the next decade of WWE. So powerful that even if you looked competitive with Brock, people saw you as credible. And if you were able to beat the Beast, brother, you were a made man. By the 2020s, Brock Lesnar had done it all. We thought we'd maybe seen the last of him in 2023 after his trilogy with Cody Rhodes, and for some stuff I'm gonna let you guys Google on your own time. But at SummerSlam 2025, the Beast would do what he does best, and smash John Cena immediately upon returning to the company. It's actually ridiculous how many times he's done that upon returning, as Cena says.
He's a beast. It's his first time back. I've been in this seat before. It's like I'm always in the seat when Brock comes back. Rock after Miami, who's the next guy? SummerSlam with Roman, here he comes again. After he beats Taker for the streak, I've sat in this seat before. You have to figure out who gets the shine that night. And if in his return, again, only my perspective, this attraction where we are going to build until he goes into the sunset to create a mountain to climb for someone, you have to build the mountain.
The Beast would do a couple of things over the next few months, like get involved in War Games and enter the Royal Rumble, where he would basically come in to eliminate a debuting Obafemi and then just get out of there. Honestly, Brock wasn't involved in any intense rivalries at this point, but that's probably because Paul Heyman was getting in enough shit for the both of them combined. When it comes to the world of pro wrestling, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar are and will forever be inseparable. There's only been a handful of times that the Beast has been seen on WWE TV without his advocate in over 2 decades. Paul Lee taught a young Brock how to navigate a treacherous wrestling business, and is his real-life wrestling manager. He's the one that books Brock's matches and knows how to make his Beast look as strong as possible. So when Seth Rollins is kicking the crap out of Heyman on what was starting to feel like a week-to-week basis, storyline or no storyline, there was only one guy that Paul could call. Brock Lesnar returned to Raw, targeted Seth Rollins for Heyman, and it felt like the Beast was about to do his old friend's bidding and smash up Seth. But then, Obafemi hit that battle strut to the ring, looking for his get back for the Royal Rumble, and dropped Brock with a fall from grace like he was nothing. Now, it's important to note here, I think, that Brock Lesnar gets the best of every opponent he's ever been in the ring with at least once in their feud. It almost always happens. It's inevitable. But with Obafemi, he never got that once. For 4 weeks straight, Obafemi bested Brock Lesnar. And it makes me think of something Drew McIntyre said about his own battles with Brock.
And there's not a lot of people that have beat Brock Lesnar. Certainly not in the last 10 years or so.
Not in 5 minutes and kick out the F5 and a one count. No, he went out of his way. He's a bit more open these days, so it's easier to talk about. He doesn't like people. And once you kind of get to know him a little bit and he realizes you're a stand-up person and you're in it for the right reasons, he'll go out of his way to make you look good, just like what he's doing with Oba right now. It's pretty much the same treatment that I got. One-upping him every step of the way. Brock never one-upped me one time, all the way till I beat him.
As McIntyre said, the Beast did do his part in helping to get Drew over with the audience, making the Scottish Warrior look strong. Honestly, not just him either. Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes also got their shine on a big stage against the Beast. But Obafemi had something very different. In modern wrestling, it is almost impossible to get 100% crowd approval as a babyface. Yet every week, the crowds were with Obafemi. Instantly and completely. The song, the chants, the strut, and most importantly, the attitude.
Well, no security. Obafemi waits for combat. Oh my God!
And the craziest part was, every week, it only kept growing. It was like a groundswell. Oba didn't just look like another guy standing across the ring from Brock Lesnar. He looked like the guy who genuinely belonged there. A guy who did not see Brock as some mythological monster from a different era, but as the one to vanquish Brock, once and for all. And once the people believe that you believe, now we're cooking with gas. And Oba would hit a grand slam with his final promo on Raw before Mania.
My name is Paul Heyman, and my client, Brock Lesnar, is scared of Obafemi because I am the ruler, the destroyer, the bringer of war, the mountain that you cannot climb, the mountain that you cannot conquer. I will defeat the beast. I will slay the beast because I am the one. I have always been the one.
And even after all that, there were still people that were nervous that Obafemi was going to lose to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. That is how strong Brock has been booked over his career. The story was handed to them on a platter, and it didn't matter. People still thought, nope, Brock could easily come away with the victory. Anyone else on the roster against Obafemi, and this is a easy mathematical 1 + 1 = 2 equation. April 19th, 2026, WrestleMania 42, Night 2. After all those years of being protected, all those years of destroying people, all those years of being presented as the one guy in WWE who felt above the roster, all that equity, all that aura, when Hogan gave it to Brock with the bear hug, and then Undertaker gave it to Brock by breaking the streak, it was never supposed to die. It was only supposed to keep growing. It has to continue to grow and compound with Brock Lesnar, so that one day Lesnar can turn around and give that same indescribable energy to the next monster for WWE. WrestleMania 42 very much felt like that day, when Brock Lesnar took that mountain of credibility and dropped it at the feet of the ruler, Obafemi. And if you weren't surprised about Brock essentially doing a less than 10-minute squash match to Oba, what happened next got everybody who was watching. Now, whether this retirement from Brock is 100% legit or not remains to be seen. We have not gotten to Summerslam 2026 yet, and that is in Minnesota. And many thought that's where he was going to retire in the first place. But it kinda doesn't even matter. Symbolically, spiritually, from a narrative standpoint, what we saw at WrestleMania 42 was the end. The Beast didn't leave the business by being an old lion that ate the youth. He left the business the right way, on his back, giving it all back to the business. And if Obafemi becomes what a lot of us think he can, if he becomes one of those generational pillars, one of those you had to be there monsters of the company, one of these guys who carries WWE into the next era, then Brock Lesnar was absolutely the right man to end the Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I'm going to try and make as many of these bangers as I can, and I want as many of you along for the ride as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.